Cool. So I'm pretty excited about this lesson. We're going to be building a personal resume website. And this is the first time you're actually going to be using um, an actual text editor in your own computer. So this is going to be really, really cool. So let's jump right into it actually. So the first thing we want to do is kind of make a folder for where our project will live. So I'm just going to make a folder in our desktop and name it resume website. So something like this, and I'm gonna go into it, and there's nothing inside. Cool. So let's open up Sublime Text, and let's um, let's save, or let's make a new file called index.html. So this is gonna save the file as an HTML file. So what we're gonna do is you hit Command S to save the file, and let's save as index.html. And let's find our folder that we just created, so resume website, and boom, let's save it. So we have it right here. Awesome. And cool. So let's start building our website. So the first thing we want to do is tell the HTML document to say, hey, this is an HTML document, so we're going to do we're going to add an HTML tag like this. And inside the HTML, we always have a head and a body. So think of it kind of like a human. So it has a head and a body. And okay, cool. So we got our basic structure, and let's kind of test it out to see if it actually works. So I'm just gonna add an H1, and I'm gonna put a name. So cat McDog, and make sure to close this. And cool. So I'm going to save it, Command S, and if you right click, you can click on Open in Browser, and this will kind of open the file up. So cool. This is our first HTML document. This is our first version of our website that we're going to make. So Cat McDog, it is working. Awesome. So let's go ahead and add some stuff about who we are. So I'm just going to add an H3 tag, and I'm just going to say, I'm going to describe what I do. So I'm just going to say professional laziness consultant, close the tag, and I'm going to say my passion lies in sleeping, eating, and playing. Let's see. I also teach others to do the same because I'm a laziness consultant. And maybe I'll just add like a silly quote. So sleeping is when you are most happy. I don't know, something like that. Some cat. Close the p tag, really important, and let's save this. And let's hop back into our browser and let's refresh it. So Command R, boom. So we got our resume website up, but it doesn't look too good, does it? We're missing something. So let's maybe add like a background image. So what we're gonna do is let's go to a website called I think it's called Unsplash. So unsplash.com. And this website, it's kind of gives you like really nice photos that you can use, and you can use them for your website. So I'm just gonna search for like maybe like freedom. Oh no, let's see. Ooh, so like maybe this one is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna click on this one, and I'm gonna click on download. And so let's right click on this image, and let's save the image as I'm gonna save it as background.jpg. Boom. And I'm gonna replace it. Cool. So we got our background image, and now I'm just gonna create like a folder for where my images are gonna be stored. So right click again, new folder, and we can have this folder. So I'm going to drag my background image into this images folder like that. Cool. So now that we got our image in our images folder, we kind of have to add it to our site. So how do we do that? Well, we got to add a CSS file. And let's actually make another folder for our CSS file to live. So we make a new folder called CSS, and let's make a new file for the CSS. So in Sublime, let's hit Command N to create like a new tab, and let's save this as like master.css in our CSS folder. So there we have it, and boom. So maybe let's try to add the background image. So maybe in our body tag, we can do like background image and add the URL. So it's going to be, you don't really have to worry about this right now. Background.jpg. So basically what I'm telling it is in the body, the background image should have, or should come from the URL image background.jpg. And this dot dot just means that it's like the root, or it's one directory before this basically where the CSS file lives. So it's kind of like saying, okay, let's click one back and let's find the images folder and find the background.jpg. So this is what it's kind of doing. Don't have to worry about it too much right now. But anyways, let's go back to our index.html and refresh the page to see if it works. And it doesn't. So we forgot something actually. So we actually have to link the HTML file to this master.css. So how do we do that? Well, we can always Google. So let's open a new tab in our browser, and I'm gonna search how to link CSS to HTML. And I'm just gonna kind of like go to this first link that comes up, and it tells you all this stuff, what CSS does, and external style sheet. I think this is what we want. So it says each page must include a reference to the external style sheet inside the link element. So I think this is what we want. So I'm just going to copy and paste this, and so Command C and hop back into Sublime Text and add it into our head. And this is basically just saying like it's a style sheet, it's CSS, and the link, the reference to it is, so we're going to have to change this to say it's in the CSS file and the name is master.css. So let's Command S to save it, and let's hop back here and let's refresh it. Boom. So it gave us kind of a background image, but it's quite not right. Or not quite right. My sucky English. Anyways, so this isn't right, and I'm thinking that it's because it's kind of being expanded. So what we're going to do is we're going to search again in Google. I'm just going to type in perfect background image, and let's try this link. Takes a second to load, and let's see. I think this is kind of what we want, right? So right now it's not expanding. So this kind of seems like what we want, like the full page background. Awesome, easy, progressive CSS three-way. Cool. So it seems like this is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna like copy and paste this, and I'm gonna hop back into Sublime Text and go into master.css, and maybe like on top of this, I'm just gonna paste this in, and I just have to change this, I think. So I'm just gonna copy and paste it in here, and now that I don't need this, maybe I'll just delete this. So save this, and let's see what that does. Refresh, boom. Awesome, so we have our background image, and it kind of looks kind of better, but it still needs a little bit more spice. So let's hop back into Sublime Text and see what we can do. So let's wrap this thing into a div. So divs are basically just kind of like containers. So I'm just gonna add a div, and I'm gonna give it a class of maybe like content. So I'm just gonna fix the indentation to make it easier to read. And by the way, indentation is really important, so make sure everything makes sense. So everything inside this div needs to be indented like this. So I just gave, so I wrapped this inside a div class called content. I refresh it and nothing happens because we didn't do anything with this class. So maybe let's add this to the CSS. So because it's a class, it's dot, so it's dot content. And let's see, I'm just gonna maybe give, let's do like a background color. And one of the cool things you can do with CSS is do RGBA. So basically you can just do something like this, and basically it's just like you can give it the color and the transparency. So this is going to give a black with a transparency of 0.7. So let me just save this and see what it does. Cool. So you can see how it's kind of transparent. Now I just need to make this kind of like a white font to make it readable. So what we can do is we can do color and type in white, and let's see what that does. Cool, so it kind of looks better. We kind of like want like a space in between this text like area, right? Because it's kind of like crammed inside. So what we want to do in this case is add padding. And I'm just going to give it like 50 pixels. And let's see what that does. Boom. So padding is essentially just that. Like it's padding between the content and like the border. So we can change this to be like 500, and what it's going to do is it's going to like do this kind of thing. And this is actually pretty cool, but it's like a little bit too big. So let's not do this. I'm just going to go back to, I'm just going to do maybe 20. Let's see how that works. Maybe 30. And you can see this iteration process where I'm kind of testing it and seeing if I like it. Maybe I'll do like 40. And okay, that looks okay. So right now it's kind of like over on top here. Maybe I want to kind of make or add a height and a width to it. So let's do that right now. So I'm going to give it a height of maybe 300 pixels and also a width of 300 pixels. So let's save this, hop back into our browser, and refresh it. So cool, now we have like a little card thing here. And yeah, I mean, this looks nice, but let's try to like center this over here. So how do we do that? So basically this is a really neat trick. Whenever you have a width, or whenever you add a width to some kind of HTML element, you can use this trick. So you can add a margin 0 auto. And let's see what this does. Boom. So basically what this is saying is for the top and bottom margins, do 0. And for the left and right margins, just automatically center it, basically. So again, this is kind of like really cool. It's really useful. Just do margin 0 auto, and it will just give you this kind of centered thing. The only thing is, I would kind of want to like, I kind of want to move this container down. So I'm just gonna add a margin of maybe 100 pixels to the top and bottom and see how that works. So cool. So this is pretty awesome. It's starting to look kind of nice. What else could we do? Let's add like a social media icon like around here. So what we can do is we can search for font awesome, and they kind of give you these awesome icons that you can use in your websites. So let's go into this link, and up here we can see icons. Let's click on that, and we can see a bunch of these icons that we can use. And I'm just going to search for like LinkedIn, and I'm going to click here. And how this works is you basically just kind of copy, and you just kind of go into your HTML and you can just paste it in. And let's see what that does. Nothing. So again, what we have to do in these cases is basically, this is an external source. So we have to tell the HTML to grab or fetch the data from an external source. So usually when these kind of things happen, you kind of go to get started, or you'll see like a link called getting started, and it will kind of give you instructions on how to do this. So it says setting up Font Awesome can be as simple as adding 2 lines of code. Awesome. So it says the easiest way is to just paste the following code into the head section. So let's just go ahead and do that. So copy, go back here, go into our head. I'm just gonna organize it a little bit and save it. Let's hop back here and let's refresh it. And boom, we have this like little LinkedIn logo here. So we want to kind of make this bigger, but how do we do that? So let's just search for that. So every time we have a question, we just search for it. Let's search how to make Font Awesome icon bigger. So assuming a lot of people ask this question, so maybe it says how to style icon color, size, and shadow of Font Awesome. So let's click on this one, and given that they're simply fonts, then you should be able to style them as fonts. So you can see here in Stack Overflow, it has a lot of upvotes, and it has like this little check, so you can kind of see that, oh, this is kind of reliable. So it's just telling you that you can just style them just as you do with fonts. So let's just go ahead and do that. So let's add a style to this icon and add a style of font size, and let's try like 50 pixels and see what that gives us. Hop back here, and it did indeed change. Cool, and it looks pretty nice. So let's kind of make this, I'm just gonna make this try like 70 pixels. And again, I'm iterating and seeing what works, and this looks pretty good. And let's make this into a link because I want to link it to my LinkedIn. So I'm just gonna leave this blank, but I'm just gonna close this A tag, and this is gonna make it a link, right? So you can click on this, it does nothing because we didn't link it, but boom, cool, we have our social media icons basically. So let's add like Facebook and Twitter. So I'm just gonna go back to Font Awesome, search for it, and here we have Font Awesome icons, and inside here we can just search for it. So Command F, and let's type in Facebook, and we have like a bunch of these. I'm just gonna pick Facebook Square, and I'm gonna copy this again. And actually what we can do is, instead of doing this whole thing again, I'm just gonna copy and paste this, and I'm gonna replace this with this because we're just changing the class of the icon. So save this and refresh it, and boom, we have 2 icons. So I'm just gonna do the same again for Twitter. So search for Twitter, Command F, and I'm just gonna pick this one, and all I need is this class. And I'm just going to paste it here so I can use it later, and I'm just going to copy, paste, and replace this like that. Cool. I save it, hop back here, and awesome. So now we have these 3 little social media icons. So what else could we do to make this pretty fancy? Well, we kind of want to add like a face, right? So I'm just going to quickly search for like a cat to add to my, maybe this one. It's a little cute cat, so I'm just gonna like grab this, save image as cat, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this image. So you just get your own profile picture and just drag it into images. And what we can do is we can hop back to Sublime Text, and let's add this right here. So the way we add images is we do image tag and add the source to it, and which is images slash, for me it's cat.jpg. So we're just referencing the file name or the folder name, and inside that we're telling it to search for cat.jpg. So let's close this, save it, and let's see what it does. Boom. So this is a little too big. So what we want to do is we kind of want to make this smaller, right? So let's, again, I'm going to add a class called profile pic, like that. And in our CSS file, we can go back here. So this, again, CSS and HTML link together. So right here we have profile pic, and we want to make kind of a blueprint for that. So for classes, we want to do dot profile pic, and we're gonna, let's make the height maybe like let's try 50 pixels and see if that's too small. Refresh it, and that's a little bit too small. I'm gonna make it 100 pixels. Again, save it, go back here, and boom. And now you see this is kind of overflowing, so we need to make this container a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the font, the height, and the weight 500 pixels each, and let's see what that does. Boom. So now it looks kind of pretty good. All we need to do now is I kind of want to make this image kind of like a circle. So I'm just going to search on how to do that because other people have already asked this question before. So how to make maybe like image circle CSS. And cool, let's just click on the first thing that comes up and see if it's any good. Oh, actually, no, they're using cat photos too, so this is perfect. So let's see, ever since the introduction of border radius, blah, 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 it's actually dead simple. This is what we're looking for. Just throw this into your style sheet. So basically, it's just telling us to give it a border radius of 50%. And so I'm just going to copy and paste this here. Actually, what I want to do is I just want to grab this since we already made a class for our image right here. So in our class called profile pic, we're telling the profile pic to have a border radius of 50%. So let's save this and see if that does the job. Oh, and it actually did. Cool. So what we actually also want to do is give it a width of 100 pixels because right now what we can see is the height is 100 pixels, but the width is kind of distorted. So we want a perfect circle. So I'm just going to save it like this, and let's see what it does. Cool. So we got like a nice little circle photo, and we got all our social media links. Now all I want to do is kind of make this font better. So we can use a font like Helvetica, but it kind of sucks. Maybe search for like better Helvetica font or something. I don't know. No, they had it. So let's see if that works. And better Helvetica. Yeah, I mean, so basically it's just telling us to add this to our CSS file. So let's see if that works. So under here, maybe I'll just add this, save it, and see if it makes it prettier. And if it does, great. Cool, and it did. Like, just like that. It looks pretty good now. Awesome. So maybe, just looking at it, I just want to make my profile picture a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to make it like 150 pixels and 150 pixels again. So cool. My cat photo is a little bit bigger, and I just want to make this indented because it's a quote. Just minor things right now. Just trying to make it look a little bit better. So I tag is for indentation. So start where you want to start the indentation and end or close the tag when you want to end the indentation. So let's save this, hop back here, refresh it, and boom, we have this quote. So this is kind of our first resume website that we've just built in a short amount of time. So it's not really difficult to build websites, right? It's kind of simple. And for these pretty images, you can use the help of things like Font Awesome. Whenever we have a question, we can kind of just Google it, and usually we can get the answer pretty easily. So in this lesson, I've kind of guided you through how to approach making websites, and when you encounter a problem, you just Google it. And for our lesson, it went quite successful, right? So pretty cool, right? I hope you guys had a lot of fun building it. Obviously, you can add more things to it, and you can actually make this your actual portfolio or resume website. You can add links to these social media logos and everything like that. But basically, this is kind of um, just an introduction to actually developing websites in an actual or on your actual computer, and not just things like Code Academy or uh, the uh, the Dash course that you kind of went through. This is actually using tools like Sublime Text and actually Googling stuff to figure things out and solve problems on your own. So hopefully this served as a pretty good introduction again to HTML and CSS, and let's keep on going.